A very, very good evening to everyone. My name is Ed Nichols, and I've been telling you over the weeks about this service called Here and Now that we run virtually from Dunstan Activity Centre. Here and Now means that if you need to talk, you need to talk yourself out, you've got a lot on your heart and you can't really find anybody to listen to you, then the service allows you to speak yourself out, to talk yourself out and to be listened to. And that can happen fairly immediately. And I know that a lot of people find that it's difficult sometimes just to get somebody who can fairly immediately listen to them. This service allows you to be listened to immediately. It can be a female counsellor or a male counsellor. It can happen through a telephone conversation. You could start in the first place by contacting me, Ed Nichols. You can contact me by telephone on 0191 460 4567, or you can email me on ed.nichols, NICHOLS, @live.com. And if you want to talk on Zoom or WhatsApp or FaceTime, or ultimately when this lockdown is over, face-to-face, then we can set that up. But whatever you're comfortable with is important. If you're a female, then obviously I would have just another female there that you would be, so you would be comfortable. If you're a man, then again we would have another man there so you're comfortable. But basically, if you need to talk yourself out, we are here to listen to you compassionately, and in an hour session we will listen for 55 minutes, and if we say anything, it will only be to get you to talk more. Like we might say things like, tell me a little bit more about that. What did you mean by that? How did you feel when that happened? How do you feel today about it? So we'd only ask questions to get you to talk more. So if we can help, this is Here and Now, which we run from Dunstan Activity Centre, and we're there to help you. But you know, can I speak to you tonight, just generally encouraging us all. We're just coming out of lockdown, aren't we? Next Wednesday, I think it is the 2nd of December. It looks like we're going to get a few days at least for Christmas. And that we're going to be able to, fellowship with with people from three different houses. So we've got something to look forward to. It is not our normal time of the year, but basically, you know, there are signs that could help us and cheer us up. I want to say to us though that might not cheer a lot of us up. You may be lonely and discouraged and depressed with life. And there's so much of it in this area. And I just want to say to you tonight, will you consider the way you're thinking? Because the way you and I think will determine how happy, sad, how encouraged, depressed, how much we love life or hate it. I want to encourage you to think differently. If you are of the kind of person who thinks negatively, critically, judgmentally, thinks particularly badly of yourself, thinks that life is really just awful and not worth even living, I want to encourage you to change the way you think. Why? Because the way you think determines the way it is. Do you know, you've probably been around, haven't you, and heard conversations. You know, people will get up on these autumn mornings, which are sometimes a bit cold, and you'll get one person who'll say, hey, it's a beautiful autumn morning, isn't it? The sun's out, it's really fresh and it's lovely, isn't it? And someone else will think quite differently. They'll say, oh, it's freezing, and we've got the winter coming as well, which is going to be even colder. Do you know what it is? What a life. And you hear that type of thing. I remember going camping once, and you know, I had all my kids with me. Well, you know, camping, you know, usually most of the times you laugh about camping is later, isn't it? Because at the time, you know, when it's raining, it can be fairly miserable. But you know, I've heard of people who go camping with young families, and they got in a field and the heavens opened and the rain came down. One of the kids touched the top of the tent, you know, the material, and when you do that, as you know, the rain starts to seep through and drip through. But despite all of that, the father and the mother were very happy people. They thought positively and optimistically, and so they made a laugh of the whole thing. The kids were falling around laughing. They had a daft half hour, as we Geordies say, and everything was really smashing. And now today, those children are no longer children. They're all grown up and they've got families of their own. And whenever they have a talk about holidays, they always remember the camping holiday when they had a real great time, when they had a real laugh, when everything seemed to be against them. But then I've been on camping fields when I've just heard nothing but complaints. Look at the sky, another miserable day. Oh, we had rain yesterday, it looks like we're going to get more today. And we had beetles crawling under the ground sheet last night. Oh, and we woke up early this morning, the cows were mooing and the sheep were bleating. Oh, what a holiday, I'll never do this again. Now, what was the difference between these campers and those two people who looked at the same autumn morning and had completely different assessments of it? What was the difference? It was the way they think. The way they think. May I encourage you to think, to consider thinking differently if you think pessimistically. There may be challenges in your life, and really, may I say to you, I'm not trying to say that you don't have problems. What I'm trying to suggest to you and to myself and to us all, humbly I hope and kindly, is if we think differently, things begin to become different. Sometimes we are what we are today because we think badly about ourselves. Sometimes we think badly about others. We have no hope for our future. And it takes us all our time to be happy in a day. Perhaps we think, oh, if only I had this and I had that. You know, if I had a better friend, if I had another partner, you know, if I had a new car. And these things can be important. And if it's a job, you know, obviously, you know, if we feel, oh, I just need a job, then obviously that's a very real and good concern. The thing I'm trying to suggest to you, though, is that if we start worrying about it and getting down with it, then that is an absolute waste of time, isn't it, for you and for me and for us all. Life is challenging. May I say to you, if you're going through a challenging time, life is challenging. It isn't Hollywood. Have you ever seen these Christmas movies? They've been on since about August, you know. Even before the Metro Centre got the tree up, we've had Christmas movies since August, you know, when it was still summer. And I don't know if you've noticed, but everybody is usually very handsome, or if they're female, very beautiful. And even if they're old like me, they seem to have, you know, handsomeness about them. You know, they look pretty good. How discouraging. Because the truth of the thing is, you know, I'm not good looking for a start, so where does that leave me? And the vast majority of us, you know, we are somewhere in, you know, in the middle, aren't we? You know, we're neither marvelously beautiful or handsome or terribly ugly, and, you know, we're somewhere in the middle. But whatever we are, we can't all be handsome and beautiful. And you ever notice in those films as well that the house is immaculate? It doesn't matter whether they seem to be going through a challenge, the house is immaculate. It's almost like they've got live-in cleaners. And when they put the Christmas decorations up, there's no frustrations. There's no frustrations about a tree going to the left or the right. You know, I don't know how many times Sylvia will say to me, my wife, she'll say, that tree's not straight. And I say, of course it's straight, that which usually means I've had enough of trying to get this tree straight. But the trees in these movies, they're absolutely straight. And the decorations, my goodness me, it looks like they've had a team of professional Christmas tree decorators in. There's no wallpaper that is ready for a paint. The walls are beautiful. You know, the decor is beautiful. The settee doesn't look like it needs replacing. It's very discouraging, you know, but yet we don't need to be discouraged, because basically what we all know is that, okay, if you're pretty rich, you can have a place like that, but most of us are not that rich. And our house, you know, it might not be as nice as that, but it can be as cozy as that. We might not have everything we'd want. Our wife may be reminding us that wall needs painting again, or we should rip the paper off and stuff, but it doesn't matter. It is the way life is. For you and for me, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And these films that I watch, you know, have you seen the clothes they wear? I mean, some of them, it seems to me, they dress in the morning, they change in the afternoon, and when they go to an evening do, well, they change into something again. Who of us lives like that? The multi-change way. Not me, not me. To be truthful, I'm quite... you know, a bit of a gypsy about these things. I like to just be comfortable. I don't like to be trussed up, you know. And these days, I think, I was reading the other day in the newspaper, ties, for most men, they just don't wear them anymore. They feel they kind of, like, it's like almost putting a choker on their necks, you know. And so people tend to dress smart and casually these days, don't they? And are free. But on these Christmas movies, goodness me, I wonder how much some of these jumpers cost, these scarves cost, these outfits cost. And of course, the other thing about these Christmas movies is, isn't it, you kind of know where it's all going, don't you, when you've seen a few of them? You know where it's all going. You know, at first there's a little bit of trouble. You know, this man, this woman, you know, they've had their heart broken by another man or a woman. But then all of a sudden, out of the ether comes another handsome man for this woman who's heartbroken, another handsome, beautiful young woman for this guy who's just lost a fiancée who's walked out on him. And we all kind of know by the end of this movie, it's going to be absolute relational bliss on earth. Now, that isn't the way most of us have found life. It really isn't. Life isn't that easy and pat. It's often a lot more involved than that. And I want to encourage us to see life as it is can be good if we get our minds right. Let's stop fighting life. I haven't got this, I haven't got that, nobody cares about me, I haven't got any friends. You know, if we, instead of saying, I haven't any friends, let's make up our minds to make friends, to be more friendly. To be more friendly to others. And that can mean that we can attract friends. It may take a process, it may take some time, but ultimately, if we keep thinking like that, we will make friends. And instead of thinking, oh, what a miserable Christmas this is going to be, you know, and we've got all the threat of catching COVID-19, and goodness me, I've got underlying health. No, these are serious things. I don't think I minimize these things. These are very important concerns. However, let's have a different way of thinking about it. Rather than letting COVID-19 depress us, let's think positively. If I look after myself and follow the guidelines, I have a very good chance of avoiding it. The vaccine is knocking on the door. I could be vaccinated in 3 weeks, and which I'll have an immunity against it. You see, it's the way we think about things. I would like to be able to say to the people I love in my family, oh, I'll just change life. You know, when your kids go to school and people bully them and things and say rotten things about them, you'd like to change life, wouldn't you, so that didn't happen. But you can't change it. So you've got to teach your kids to look at all the bad things that happen and to cope with it. And the best way to cope with it is to get them to think right. People who are bullied often think, I'm no good, I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not talented enough, I'm not good at this, my hair's a mess. You see, that is the wrong response to it. The right response is to think of bullies as what they are indeed, that they are people you should feel sorry for. People who take pleasure out of bullying people, they are the ones who have the problem. Now, I don't mean that if you're bullied that you should just keep that to yourself. You should share that. You should talk yourself out. And you should talk yourself out until you've got it out of your system and you realise that actually this bully might be against you, but there are a lot of people who are for you, who care about you, who esteem you, who think you're a person of worth and value. It's the way we think about ourselves that makes us victims or makes us free. I want to encourage you to think of yourself positively. And as I've said to you, if you feel that you would value counsel, if you'd value a conversation, value an opportunity to talk yourself out, whatever age, if you are, we can provide the service. It will be conducted by a trained counsellor. It will be carried out compassionately, ethically, observing all of the guidelines. So if you need help just to start getting your mind to think differently, we're here in this here and now service. So I wish you, in the midst of COVID-19, a new mind, thinking new thoughts that are positive, wholesome, and that do you good. And as we do that as a community, we can lift each other up. So if I'm miserable, you can lift me up, and if you're miserable, I can lift you up. That's how people ought to be in community. And I really believe that we will see that in our communities. And as I've said finally before, if we can be of any help to help that along, then I've given you my contact details at the beginning. So a very good night to you. And I hope that in thinking new and positively, that life will become new and positive for you and for all of us too. A very good night.